I spent the past 2 months creating a 4th starter for every starter trio, from Kanto all the way to Paldea. Today it is time for the final evolutions for the first 3 generations, and I can already tell you that we've reached new heights with these designs. For the Kanto final stages, we have Venusaur, who has gained a lot of weight, and the flower on his back has opened to look a lot more interesting. We have Charizard, who clearly looks like a dragon type now, with his wings, dragon-like face, and a bigger / stronger tail. Finally, we have Blastoise, who just got a lot bigger and now has 2 big cannons on his back. It appears that all of them get something on their back, so that's definitely something to keep in mind for our drawing. We got a lot of feedback about not changing the second stages enough, and I must agree with that. But I've said it a few times before, I wanted to keep the biggest changes for the final ones. This would, however, mean that we would have to go way out of our comfort zone for these pieces. We started drawing and we tried to use a straight pose instead of a sideways one, but making 2 eyes visible was extremely difficult, especially because the nose was too difficult to make it look like a raptor. This just didn't work, so we gave up and went back to our side pose. I did already draw parts of the body, since I didn't want to get stuck on the face too much. The drawing itself became a lot easier when we changed the face, and only had another struggle point when working on the claws on both the arms and feet. It's just always extremely difficult to get him into the right perspective, but luckily we remembered to look at references and slowly but surely managed to get some good looking results. We were unsure what to do with the back, so in the end we just gave it some sharp spikes and went with the focus point on a tail instead. I don't really know why, but I thought it would be cool to give more blades on it, which just makes for a stronger and fiercer fighter. The last thing we had to do was to bring in more electrical elements, especially the patterns everywhere. The colors got once again a bit darker for a more mature look, and I did also spend a lot more time on the rendering to make it look as crisp as it could be. We then tried something new and used separate layers for better animations in the end. I am still getting used to animating them, but I feel like they are at least a bit better than before. Electrix, the raptor Pokemon. This Pokemon can hit its top speed of 200 miles per hour in 3 seconds flat. It's so fast that it looks like a streak of light when it runs by you. Other times you only see a flash of light. Its tail is as sharp as its teeth, stabbing prey and dragging them across the floor as it runs. It can be very cruel when it comes to hunting. I genuinely think this is one of my best Fakemon designs ever. I just love how he actually made it look different from the other Pokemon in this line. I would say it matches design wise with the other final stages of Kanto, but I probably should have removed the scales on this one, since Venusaur doesn't have it anymore either. Overall, I'm just really happy with the evolution line we made for this generation, and I love how it goes from a raptor-like Pokemon into literally a wheeled blading raptor Pokemon. That's freaking awesome, dude. Now for the final stages of Johto, we have Meganium, who has grown a bit taller and has also opened the buds around her neck into a beautiful looking flower. We have Typhlosion, who has a fiercer expression and really sells the look of an explosive volcano. And we have Feraligatr, who seems to have grown into his body perfectly and now looks like a wacky strong psychopath. It's just an awesome design. For this piece, I started by blocking out a simple top heavy body, and to my surprise, it actually looked really good from the start. The only big flaw I had was when I added in his face. I decided to make him look very happy, just a big gentle giant, but this also gave him a bit more first stage energy. This was exactly why we had to make his facial features a lot smaller, because that's one of the things that make your drawing look a lot more aged, instead of it being a baby. You know, baby, big eyes, etc. Another thing we did to make him feel a bit more mature was to add a mustache under his nose, and we also gave him a big piece of chest fur. It was at this point where he figured out the reference and idea for this Pokemon, which was going to be a Sherpa. A Sherpa is someone who guides travelers up and through mountains, who are capable of lifting heavy weights on their backs and are just extremely cool people in general. Literally, because temperatures can drop really low in the mountains. This is why we added back in the backpack straps on his sides, and other elements that would work great with this concept would be the ice we added to his elbows to give him another way of climbing the treacherous mountains. I will say working with the split layers for better animations makes the drawing process quite a bit longer, but it's also fun to have a look at the piece in a 3D way. For the colors we used a slightly darker white for its main part and also went with a darker variant of blue for all the icy elements he has on his design. We didn't do too much differently for the rendering process than the first two stages, except for now using colored lines for the icy parts instead of the usual black ones. I figured out we could do this by looking at the flames of Typhlosion, who also has colored outlines. Megatherium, the sloth Pokemon. The eyes on Megatherium's forearms are for digging into the side of walls and steep slopes to then pull itself up. Its arms are incredibly strong in order to lift up to 5 times the weight of its own body. It hangs around Mount Silver and Mount Coronet to help trainers get around more easily by carrying them on its back. It will help out anyone for free, but we'll be extra happy if you give it a berry as a thank you. I just love how happy this thing looks, and the lore for it fits in perfectly as well. I don't think it however blends in nicely with the other designs in this line, and it's mostly because we used too many elements on its design. About the line itself, I just love how it starts as a cute little dude and builds into a big gentle giant who saves anyone who travels up the mountains. Like, sick. That's just sick. I don't care what you think, but I think it's sick, man. Oh yeah, by the way, before I forget, literally these animations took me like 6 hours to figure out because it didn't work the way I wanted them. It didn't work how I usually made them. It took me 6 hours to freaking fix them. Maybe even 8. I hope you like them. Please like them. Please like them. I created a brush set with all my favorite brushes. I use each of them in every drawing that I make, so if you want to draw in the same style as me, I recommend checking out my website. For only €5.99, you can get the Procreate brush set, which you will be able to use in Procreate. It includes an amazing line art brush, a highlight brush which instantly makes your pieces look a lot better, and many other fantastic brushes. I also want to have a written down version of how to create Paradox Pokemon. That's why I created this step-by-step guide. It's easy to follow, and I added a bunch more tips you can use while drawing. You will also get the work files of the 2 Paradox Pokemon we created, and I added 2 work files with just a line art so you can practice coloring and shading. This guide is also available for €5.99 on my website, but since I thought you guys might be interested in buying it together with the brush set, I made it into a combi deal for only €8.99 for the both of them. That is a 25% discount, so I know what I would do. Let's move on to the final stages of Hoenn, where we have Sceptile, who has now a very strong and mature body and has a big tree on the end of its tail. He also has some cool looking buds on his back now too. We have Blaziken, my favorite Pokemon of all time, who's now just a Super Saiyan fighting chicken. Top tier design all the way. And we have Swampert, who is another amazing design, who seems to build on the chill guy vibes, which you don't want to anger because he's actually super strong. I knew my design for Hoenn wouldn't come close to the top tier designs we already got in this generation. This especially was the case when I saw what I made out of the second stage for my Pokemon. I don't know what I was thinking, but that one was kind of unacceptable. In the end, I do think it fits as a second stage because it's meant to look a little bit awkward, but maybe it's a little bit too awkward. hard. This did mean we had to return with an amazing final stage for this line to at least make the second stage worth your while. My first idea was a jester-like final stage who bounces on the energy it creates, but eventually settled on a more serious and alien invasion kind of design. We mostly captured this energy by making him look a bit down on you with its pose, and by making it look like it's floating down out of a portal. I also wanted to make sure that he looked as experienced as he could with its energy bending. That's why I made them feel like they were following the guidance of his hand gestures. I also fixed the biggest issue I had with the second stage, which was to make his eyes look like they were in the head instead of just floating on top of it. We managed to do so by simply adding some eyelids and by bringing in some shadows on the eyes to make sure it looked like the eyebrows were casting them. For the colors we opted into a way darker palette because it felt like the design needed a secondary typing and went into a part dark one. This would work well with the concept I had in mind for him, and it also allowed me to change up the color palette a lot more. We then brought in a dark color in the middle part of its body, totally not because I wanted to break up the other colors and especially to bring in some meteorite lore, right? Cyrilla, the psychic ape Pokemon. The meteorite around Cyrilla's waist helps stabilize its overwhelming psychic power, because without it, Cyrilla's brain and body would literally explode. It manipulates atoms to create any object it desires, from platforms all the way to banana trees, and it can even bend reality to mess with its opponent's mind. This design has absolutely saved the entire evolution line for this generation. It started out really strong with Psyche. I'm swapping the names because Psyche definitely fits the second stage more, and then Psyche was kind of mid, maybe even lower than mid. But this design really does everything that I want for a final stage. It looks awesome, it has cool lore, and it looks like a final evolution. It really works. It also blends in surprisingly well. I think that is because we used enough elements on its design to make him look interesting, and the colors blend in too, but it isn't over the top either, so pretty good. Although I really love the other Hoenn Pokemon way too much, I might actually give this one a try as well. You have the cute little Psyche, the Psyche who's a little bit stinky, like literally Psyche is just stinky. And then we have the big freaking awesome, what's it called? Cyrilla. I like this line and I hope you do too. Oh yeah, real quick, I think we are making really good Fakemon right now. It's not on the top there are way better people out there than me, but I genuinely think these are some pretty good designs. Definitely my best work ever. But I do wonder, do you prefer these Pokemon or do you maybe prefer the 186 Paradox Pokemon I made?